Hi, my name is Linda Cirulli-Burton, and welcome to this channel named Above the Battleground, ACIM. Recently, there's been a lot of memories coming up for me where I was extremely judgmental. And I mean judgmental in a condemning kind of way, not as a form of discernment or preference, but no, very clearly condemning. And I am in a space, in a place in my life now where that isn't acceptable. And so what I'm finding is there's memories coming up for the healing so that I can look at what I have felt, thought, and can maybe start the disarming process with the help of A Course in Miracles. Now, Above the Battleground is based on the teachings of a spiritual self-study path known as A Course in Miracles. I've been a student of A Course in Miracles for many years, but it's only been recently that I chose to recommit on a really powerful level. And offering these videos is one way of expressing some of the ideas, some of the practices in A Course in Miracles so that it would go deeper within me and maybe be of some assistance to you on your own path. There's a particular memory that's been coming up for me quite frequently that prompted me to reread an old classic. Anyway, when I was teaching ancient humanities at a local college as an adjunct professor, I was to create an assignment that was a critical thinking value assignment. And so I came up with something that I thought was just so perfect. It was an excerpt from Homer's Odyssey, and it was when Odysseus was engaging in activity with the one-eyed, ugly monster Cyclops called Polyphemus. And I wanted my students to read this excerpt and pull out all the evidence that they could find that would say that Odysseus was a great leader. And then I wanted them to reread it and pull out all the evidence that he was a failure as a leader. Then what they would do is they would vote. They were judge and jury. They couldn't be neutral. It couldn't be a hung jury. They had to decide, was he a great leader or was he a terrible leader? Now, I found out some very interesting things with this assignment. First off, students who had very little knowledge of Homer's Odyssey were very easy to persuade that he was a bad leader. They pulled out the evidence, and I'm not going to lie to you, I was always excited when people voted him down because, I don't know, I must have been trying to upend the heroes or something at that particular time in my life. But I was like, wow, okay, this is working. Then there was the other group, and I can honestly tell you that the vote in most of the classes turned out to be 50-50, which another thing, very interesting. But I had some students, some young men particularly, I recall, going, he was a hero, but he was a hero. And, it would be, now I'm just going to tell you something, because that assignment really was a good one. Because it was very easy to see where Odysseus was flawed, just as it was easy to see where he was terrific. So it really, really was interesting. But for me, in retrospect, just judging, from the way I was handling it, I was so excited when they voted him down. Well, I don't know. It's a funny thing because now that I'm in a period of my life where relinquishing judgment is condemnation has kind of become a centerpiece in my life, I made a decision to reread Homer's Odyssey. Now, I read it, I'm telling you, I think I read it when I was in high school or college, so it's been a lot of years. I decided that I would reread it, and I'm just going to tell you something. Those students who said that Odysseus was a hero, they were not wrong. He was really very, very phenomenal. So let me just share, just a little bit. So he had been warned about the sirens and the beautiful music, the beautiful enchanting singing that could draw people to their deaths, because it would be, you would want to be with them because, kind of they knew the future and they just, well, whatever. He had been told, you've got to make sure that there's beeswax in their ears and that your men cannot hear this, because if they hear this, they will go to their deaths. Now, if you, Odysseus, if you want to hear it, and this was all upon the advice from Circe, if you want to hear this music, make sure you are tied to that masthead and that there is nothing, that your men will not let you out. Then you can hear the music, but you are not to leave that boat. So anyway, he gets his men through and he gets himself through, right? There's another story, the lotus eaters. So the lotus, the fruit from the lotus is so scintillating and so wonderful that as his men ate it, they forgot any desire about returning home to Ithaca with Odysseus. They just wanted to eat more fruit and eat more fruit. So Odysseus basically had to knock him out, get him on the ship, and then lock him up in order to keep on moving forward. And there's just so many stories. And if I was looking at his engagement with Polyphemus, and what was great was when Polyphemus wanted to know his name, and he said, I'm no one. In some translations, I'm nobody. No one or nobody. And then after they escape, and they've already gone and put out the eye of this one-eyed Cyclops, and other Cyclops want to help him, and he ends up yelling to them, "No one did this," or "Nobody did this." I mean, and you're like, whoa. I'm telling you, Odysseus, he was just brilliant. But the lesson for me is, Linda, it's like I am at that position where I'm wanting to melt my judgment calls, and it even includes great characters in literature or history. I mean, it's just crazy, And every time I am tempted now to evaluate and condemn someone based on just a little slice of what these eyes see or what these ears hear, I'm now learning to stop myself before I go there. This is quite a journey, Relinquishing judgment is condemnation. And instead seeing all of us is sharing the exact same mind. Everyone has a decision maker. Everyone has a mind of light and a mind of dark. Everyone is always choosing which mind they'll go into. And I can say that this might be the most interesting way to be mindful. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to sharing more with you in the future.